little bit towards him.
We going live soon.
All right, there we go.
Let's get it.
There, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
What do you mean?
It's good enough. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live, damn it.
We'll do it live. How's everybody doing on this fine afternoon?
Are we live right now?
We're live right now. We've got a great show planned for you. Let me share this on my page really quick so I can put my phone down and not get roasted by everyone for being on my phone the whole time.
Cool. Share it to mine, so we good to go, man. Welcome back, though. So welcome back. First show of the new year. So happy new year officially to everybody, right?
Somebody just say it.
We said
no, somebody just say it.
Man, I ain't seen y'all all year.
It's just crazy we haven't done a show in a year, you know.
Yeah, we ain't done a show all year. So this is the first one.
I'm sorry. I can't not.
What's super funny is I do like that people don't like them because it makes it more funny for me to do them because I do them all the time. I ain't talked to you all year. This first time I seen you all year. I ain't took a shower all year. That's not true today, by the way. Let me put that out there before they like. I wonder why that fly kept flying around Rich. Oh, stanky booty boy. How y'all in that small room with him?
So I'm sure.
Especially when Julian starts doing the. Like, that's because Rich don't shower.
No, he ain't showered in a year. So I'm about to post. We're going to do some election talk.
What election?
We're going to do some not conspiracy, some people storming the Capitol. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about a lot of stuff.
Oh,
Bitcoin. We got to talk about Bitcoin.
Because our producer, I haven't seen him this riled up in a while. He's feeling something today about this Bitcoin thing.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's a good quote. Hey, don't let how long it took you to get started stop you from starting today.
Well, I'm not buying
in his case, if he buys it today,
he got paid $39,000. But are you gonna care if you spent $39,000 if it's $70,000 in 3 weeks?
That's the trip about it, man. You never know. You never know.
But it can make it to the hundreds, and you're gonna be miserable.
But it happened before, and it's not this high, and it went from like 28,000 to 6,000. Remember?
Yep. No, it was like 20,000 was the highest it got.
Oh, man,
but then it dropped.
Right. No, like 3 or it went down to like a couple thousand.
Yeah, it was bad.
No, I'm good, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I'm good. And I don't know why. I honestly no, I do. I haven't researched it. I've literally researched Bitcoin for 0 minutes. I know nothing about it. It just seems like that's not the way we're gonna go. It seems like a reverse way of where we should go. It seems like we should go back to precious metal type stuff before. I guess not, right? Because that runs out. Those resources run out. But some that I feel like is somewhat hackable doesn't sound ideal.
The whole thing doesn't really sound ideal. I mean, because
we're going deeper into fiat. It feels like.
Yeah, it's just made up. And I know everyone's always like, oh, well, the only thing that keeps the U.S. dollar is that everyone believes in it. And, like, it took a long time to get everybody to believe in it, though. Like, you're not going to just come with the new one. Like, we're all going to agree with it. This is the new money.
Well, not only that, you have to agree with it, and then you have to all agree that fake ones are not legit. Right. Because, like, I mean, you could have a 20, no problem, and they will mark that with that little weird gold pen, and it will not do anything. By the way, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of advice. Spend them at the ice cream man.
Oh, when you get those fake ones?
I do know, serious though, I really do know people who used to do that. They would get a fake 20, spend it at the ice cream man.
Just put it in the miscellaneous hand in. They don't know. Bro, I was just
or if you buy $10 worth of ice cream, I don't think they care what you give them. So they're just like, all right, cool. This is just about $10 worth. And that's like 2 snowstorms these days.
But yeah, imagine you think you got a Bitcoin and you go to spin it and they're like, this is a Bitcoin, bro. You're not getting nothing for this. Like, no, I spent 40 grand for that.
That's a butt coin. I don't know if you didn't read close enough. That's not even our symbol.
And that's on you. That's all on you. Yeah, I don't think, Bitcoin's for me. I don't think it makes any sense.
Well, not now.
Well, and that's what I mean. When it's that much, I mean, how do those transactions work? Do they have smaller
fractional? No,
okay,
I mean
it's just fractional.
So
Bitcoin.
like, now this costs 1,000th of a Bitcoin. So right, would be $2 or.
Would they ever? I mean, at some point they have to go that route, though, right? Like we're gonna have new denominations of Bitcoin. Because that just seems crazy. Like, it
No,
just seems
so this-
easier if you could break it down into.
Well, the problem with Bitcoin is that it's not based on anything. So
Well, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So right now it's worth that much. If the dollar wasn't a thing, how would Bitcoin be worth stuff though?
right. So that's the reason why it's not, because it's
Like,
still
if we-
traded in dollars.
'Cause,
Which
yeah,
means
if we
it's
did-
not a currency. I don't have to take my dollars and go trade it for another thing. You know what I'm like? I don't take it to
Yeah.
the store and trade it for coupons to use the coupons.
Yeah.
My money's
That's what Bitcoin is.
the currency.
Right. Well, I mean, and even that, right? We could easily look and say, what is it right now? 38,000 or something.
39,000.
So 39,000. Like, it's 39,000 what though? Dollars. The reason that we're like, wow, Bitcoin is crazy because it's worth $39,000. If it wasn't,
Yeah.
we wouldn't care. If you were just like, dude, do you know what Bitcoin can get you if you trade with only other Bitcoin people? It would get you these items. It would probably be a super short list, right? It would be like buying from those little booklets we used to get in elementary where you're getting these like weird one-off toys you can't get anywhere else.
I haven't thought about those in a while.
And so
Flashback.
that to me, I think is, and I didn't look at it that way. What you just said is probably why it would keep me away. I have to trade my money for money, except for the fact, I mean, if you bought it when it was,
It was like $6,000 a few weeks ago or a month. I don't
or
know.
even then, if you bought it for $6,000 and it's 39 grand, that's great.
That's money right there.
But if they decide like the dollar's not worth anything, then your Bitcoin is no longer worth anything unless you have a really strong.
Well, that's the question.
Well,
I
no,
would be curious to see how does it affect other exchanges?
That's where I think it can get so funny. I just thought of this super late into this conversation. The first football player just got paid in Bitcoin. He's getting like half of his contract in Bitcoin.
Well, the problem is,
Because he's thinking for.
Well, if he got paid a week ago, he came up.
Well, then he did.
And I think
the problem.
he. I'm pretty sure he got paid.
Speculative. It's so speculative. It's just like if it would be like using Yeezys as currency. Or like it's just an arbitrary thing that's not. But I mean, it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea.
Well, I think the problem though is why money worked is that money was based on something before it became fiat, right? Like let's even teach our viewers this. If you didn't know where money came from is people weren't going to carry gold and silver and copper around in big satchels, or they were, but it gets heavy. So instead they gave it to the banks. The banks gave them a note based on what their gold was. They didn't have to take it all out, and that became the dollars. And so that's why we have them. So it's based on something for a long time before it came fiat. I think that transition's a lot easier than just throwing out make-believe. But that's the one thing in the book Sapiens, they say that why they believe Homo sapiens ended up beating out all the other human forms or just Homo forms was...
Oh, God.
Well, in Neanderthals, I guess they're not. Or no, they are. It's Homo something before Neanderthal. But why they beat them out is because we have an imagination and we can do things like that. We can do trade and stuff like that. And how they figured that out was that, and I might have mentioned this on the show before, so I apologize, but they found that Homo sapiens, the things that were found in certain areas would be found so far away that it had to be generational to get there. Mm-hmm. And that's how they learned they were trading stuff. And it was things like ivory and things like that they were trading that they weren't finding in Neanderthal groups. They weren't making stuff super far. They still traded stuff, but Homo sapiens had a way of using their imagination, and that's just where we're getting. We're further out. We're just like, let's just make everything up. And that's, I know I'm just going crazy in this tangent right now.
A little bit.
But back to simulation, like, it just seems that's the way we're going. Like, we just make everything up.
No, you're right though about the making up money and how we came across all of that, and you got a little distracted, but you had started explaining why we have money and why it works, and so to just kind of come out with a new one and say this is the new one that we think is going to work, that didn't have that same foundation. Like we used gold as the foundation for the dollar, which we all now know is kind of garbage. and they're using the kind of garbage one to be the foundation for what they have.
Which
so like you're building a house on quicksand.
Well, and then you see now they're coming out with these new, and they did this originally with Bitcoin, but now it's like getting stronger where they're coming out with these coins that are based on Bitcoin. So it's like these things are going to be based on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's based on the dollar. The dollar's now based on nothing, but used to be based on gold. It's wild, man. It's wild.
What about the euro? No, I'm just kidding.
So can you give us a background on how the euro came to be? Why?
Yeah. What do you guys know? You guys know about the euro and the real?
What about the yen?
Yeah, the yen.
Yeah,
No, I was thinking about that though because it's something that's like hot. Is like all of this stimulus stuff, and I've seen many people post in the past day like, or since the election about like, oh now Biden's in, we can fix all these issues. Like they have trillions of dollars for bailout, but now we can spend it on this stuff, and it's like, bro, that's not how this all That's not how this all works.
Unfortunately, it's not.
They cannot just print money out. I don't think people know what money is. I don't think they know.
But my problem with that is, in my argument, because I feel like that's the argument I always get, is like, that's not what I'm asking for. We give money to ridiculous stuff. I mean, I mentioned this. Let me switch the number for you, too, to give you perspective. So it's not 640, it's 460. But the Capitol Police's budget is $460 million per year. I'm sure they have a lot of employees. I think it's 2,300, they say. That's a lot of employees. But, like, we seen the job they did. This goes back to why you just don't believe people, because we watched the shitty versions of that role.
Yeah.
But that's, like, it just, to me, it just, like, military budget. We've talked about that. You even admit, like, the military budget on a yearly basis is crazy. Especially what we give money to each year. That seems like that should be, like, their 10-year budget. Right. Because why do you need to keep doing it? Like, one of them is we're, like, renewing the heads of our nukes right now that we don't use, but we just want to make sure they will work if we have to.
You don't want them to not work.
Which is true, but...
Just hit them with that dud. No.
Straight dud, and then they're like, we know who did this. Got America on the side of this rocket. But that's... My argument is not that we should take more money. I think it's we should take money from things that are either useless, which we know there's plenty of stuff on. When you even look at what politicians are using tax dollars for, we should be able to take money from that. I mean, we shouldn't have all these Congress members making $200K.
I agree. And I will never disagree with spending our money more efficiently. But for example, universal health care is literally our whole budget. Fact check me.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I feel like that's an argument with them though. They're always like, this would pay for universal health care when it's something crazy like making missiles or new warships.
So we could get rid of our whole military and probably maybe have like cut it to $0. And then we maybe could have like universal health care. But then and then look up how much the student loan crisis is. Probably a couple trillion. So it's like, if you guys want free health care, free college, and throw in the next most popular thing, like there's no room for any. The only other option, think about it, because already without those things, we've accumulated. How much money do you
think we'd save if we audited the Fed?
That's a whole nother story, bro. Don't even get me going on.
And that's what I mean. And I will say that I 100% agree with you. We cannot keep printing. We will be Venezuela quick. Guatemala.
People don't know that. I don't think. I think people think that the government has all the money and they're just not giving it to us. I really I want my Obama phone, or I want my stimulus, or I want that money doesn't actually have it. It's not a thing. So, and you guys can look, if you have $1 in your pocket, I'm broke, so I don't have my wallet. But it says on there, and this is funny because you said the exact word earlier. It says a Federal Reserve note. Mm-hmm. You do loans. What is a note? It's the instrument of debt.
Wait, you can't.
So this means this is a note that has to be repaid to the Federal Reserve, which, as we both know, maybe most people don't, is not a government agency.
They're not.
So every one of these that comes
into America's central bank
that comes into our pocket has to go back to them at some point.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's not worth anything.
Right.
If they don't get it back, it's not worth anything.
So they like when they just like, oh, we'll just give you 3 trillion of these things right here. They're just it's just debt from some other guy we have to pay back with interest. So here's your dollar back.
Yeah, you're getting real handy.
So you're getting pretty comfortable with that.
I mean, dude, the history. We talked about that before. The literal history was they gave you $1. When you paid it back, you owed $1.33. But there's only $1 in circulation, so you have to borrow more money to pay them their money back. And that's literally how the Fed was started. The central bank is based on that. Giving out money, you pay it back in interest. You don't have the interest because it's not in circulation yet. They have to loan you more money.
What's crazy is that's like the innocent aspect. Like that's even though it's kind of criminal because you don't have an option. At least it's fair. You borrow money, you pay me back with interest. Mm-hmm. What they don't
Except
talk
you don't
about,
have a choice in other types of money.
There's no So
it's a monopoly.
It is a monopoly by definition.
Unless you buy Bitcoin now.
That's what Bitcoin's here for.
Don't get me started on that.
He said, I'm just getting over it. For those of you just entering, our producer missed out on $40,000 by not buying.
That's $6,000. He was about to buy that $6,000 Bitcoin.
I was this close.
Could you imagine how pissed you would be if like a week ago you'd be like, I'm gonna buy 10 Bitcoins. I was like, no, that shit's gay. And then like today,
I would have had an axe to your head. I would have killed you.
Dude, if you talked them out, that'd be the best. Like, what do? You can't be mad. Like, you made the decision, but it would be worse if you were like, you a grown ass man, you can do what you want. That's where you got to be like, dude. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like, don't get me wrong, I am a grown up and I can make those decisions myself. But you did tell me that you could at least own up to that. But when you hit me with dude, you grown, do what you want. Like, no, you told me, you gave me a perspective.
what would be the coldest I talked you out of it,
and then you bought them.
I had some the whole time.
That's Kelly Loeffler right there, bro.
No, that's Jules&Rich. That's a Jules.
I like her. Dude, she really did that. She's awesome for that. I can't even be mad at that. She really told everybody COVID's not that bad and then sold her stock. and not a little bit, 10 million worth of stock.
Holy shit.
Dude, she bought, I thought this was the most creative thing ever. She bought into body bags.
That's pretty gangster.
What? That's pretty fucked up.
And then tried to win an election based on it.
Pretty fucked up.
Dude, she wrote
like she wasn't gonna let him get like I own all the body bags in Florida. Like you got, I'm the body bag king.
Speaking of which, her
$5,000 a pop.
Dude, I just learned this too. I didn't even know like it was just owned by someone, but her husband owns the New York Stock Exchange, which I didn't think was a thing.
You can.
I guess so. Yeah, there's like a person who owns it, or maybe a group. But yeah, I heard her husband owns part of it, which I thought was funny. And she also she wrote off her airplane on taxes. Damn. And so this is like someone who's just running for Senate, and she didn't even win the Senate initially. She was given her position after someone
like the governor or something gave it to her
because he got like Alzheimer's or something. Not Alzheimer's, not Parkinson's. No, it might have been Parkinson's. And so he left, and then they said like she bought her position basically, and dude, she was living. I can't even.
I don't know if I heard of this lady.
This is the George. She's one of the ones that just lost her Georgia seat. So Kelly Loeffler. And I always tell you this. I'm always torn on this. I talked to my brother. He was like, "That sounds smart to me," but I also thought Martha Stewart was smart, and I was like, "That's insider trading is illegal."
Everybody did.
But like. What you're supposed to be like, well, that's insider trading, even though I have this information, don't do anything. Now, Kelly, I think the senator was different because she was going out to the public calling it a hoax while like doing things that not only were she had obviously a senator type meeting with them, but she was telling people a different story and then kind of making money off of it. But even then, I mean, I think if she didn't tell the public one thing, then I wouldn't have cared. Like, you own stocks that are going to be affected by this. You were just told something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. That's a problem.
So well, and that's why I think they need to do something just about them not owning stocks. I think that's something that's if you just shouldn't be able to write laws on things that will affect your stocks in a positive way at the very least.
What do you think?
No, I guess not even a negative way because they'll say
like a fair consequence for doing that. If you're in public office and you
do some weird ass shit like that,
make them live in Highlands.
Yeah, you gotta donate that, bro. You gotta donate that.
That's only fair. No, I don't even care. You could keep it. You just have to live in Highlands. So if you're living flashy, you have to get robbed. You about to be in a cutlass on some 20s. Because if not,
you're going to be a cutlass on bricks, bro.
on bricks, because if you in that Porsche Panamera,
It's gone.
it's gone.
What's crazy about that is
Couple
like,
joyrides.
with because I was thinking like, oh, pay it back. But like with something like that, to make a like 10 million, you have to cost other people like $1 billion.
Damn.
Like it's not dollar for dollar. You like, because if I cause a stock to drop $1 and I short it, right? So what she did, like I would get $1 for every share, but I own 1,000th of a thousandth of the company. So all those other people who lost the dollar, you know, like it's way you could never repay it. That's really the problem with insider trading. It's not that you're making money; it's that like your benefit comes at such a huge cost. So, you want to come take my seat real quick, bro? I gotta go grab my inhaler real quick.
Oh, where is it? I can just grab it for you.
You in here struggling?
A little bit, bro. I don't know why I have allergies on here.
I should have took a shower, I guess, this year. I knew you was gonna have me looking dumb. Well, welcome to the show, RG.
Hello, everybody.
Well, welcome. I mean, this is the first time we had a guest sit in one of our.
Is this like the RG and Rich show now? I mean, the Rich and RG show now? We're just gonna kick them out.
No, you could fit that same. I like the Rich being last, so it could be
Okay,
the RG.
I
and
like
Rich
that.
show.
You know, that's fair. But I don't even remember what we were doing.
RG and Rich. How do you spell RG?
R then G.
Oh, so it's not some ARGEE type situation,
No, it's
or RBs, so ARBY, ARGY.
I like the way you're going though.
Nice, dude. Speaking of, let's talk about that. So Arby's is a money laundering front, and I 100% believe that.
And you're saying this because I used to work there.
No, because I can't even keep track of all the places you worked. But they own now Dunkin' Donuts, Buffalo Wild Wings, and they just bought something else where it's like Arby's.
I believe it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because
they
you used
got
to money
money.
launder through there.
Exactly. No, definitely.
There's
my
not that
boss
many
was.
people eating roast beef and cheddars. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, they're missing out. They're pretty good.
Dude, I heard they have au jus there, and I need to
They
go.
do.
I'm a hater. I
They
do
do.
like their curly fries, and I really like
With that
their
little
orange
dip.
dreamsicle shakes because I make those myself.
I used to have
I
to
love
clean
me
that
an
machine,
orange
man. I
dreamsicle.
hated it.
By the way,
Every night.
Let's have an interview where we just ask him all the jobs
jobs
he's
he
at.
seriously. But if you do have, for anyone who works out, if you have vanilla protein, a little bit of orange juice, and a vanilla protein shake makes it a dreamsicle. Oh,
Why are you telling everybody your secrets?
it's the best because I like to spread the wealth. You know, not the wealth of money because I don't have that, but the wealth of knowledge. I could try to do that.
That's
So.
good. That's
I like
good.
being- do you want your seat back?
I'm just chill.
I'm gonna go here.
No, I kind of like that. I want to be the producer moving forward. Where's Nolan? Nolan said he was taking over my spot.
That was slick. All right, sorry about that, boys and girls. Got this right here just in case I go back into anaphylactic shock. Don't know what's going on. There might be mold in this room. I don't know. What were we talking about before I left?
Asbestos.
It was something
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I'm sorry. To
It wasn't
bail
about
on you like
Bitcoin or RB.
we were at the tail end of the Bitcoin talk about. If you were paying attention, hit us up.
Well, we can move on to a new topic.
Yeah, I mean, so
well,
should we
do
talk
we-
about the super popular topic
We
at
had
hand?
kind of just at the end we were talking about. All right, yeah, who cares?
I think we should move
Whatever
on to
we
the
we know what
riots.
everybody wants to really talk about. We know what we're here for.
Man. So,
You know what you're here for.
man, so that situation,
You gotta
right?
scoot forward. You're off the camera.
So, are we touching knees now, boy?
More than that, you know.
Them third knees. Dude, so it weirdly, I read way more comments than I should read on the World Wide Web. So dumb stuff doesn't surprise me, but weirdly, and I probably felt worse because I weirdly felt weird about it. I was in a funk, man, reading all that stuff and watching what happened yesterday. Like that, it bothered me to the core.
Bro, I was having a weird day. It
I
was
think-
a tough day yesterday, honestly.
I think stupidity on the internet is one thing. Stupidity in action, in that far of action, is crazy. And I think it proved our normalcy in a way with dumb stuff. Like we're just so used to wild stuff. I think it's our access, but also these 4 years. And I've mentioned that before, right? I even said that before the election. I feel like a Republican ran White House will do more for my life personally. More just because I'm making more money, things like that. There's just even, like, I really do feel like I'm a libertarian to the core. Like, I fiscally conservative for sure. Social issues, I really just don't care. So I would say I'm liberal because I don't really care. But seeing that, to me, was just like, dude.
What are you talking about specifically?
Breaking into the Capitol.
Okay.
No. Well, I think some of that was done, but not that surprising. I think the issue was more like you broke into the Capitol. The Capitol. And not only did you do it easy, like you guys were doing it with guns, they were bear macing cops.
So I tried to watch it. You probably saw more than me.
Yeah. I'm not doing good on my New Year's resolution of staying off the internet. I've probably been on there since the first 3 days worth of time.
So, I mean...
72 hours of internet.
So, what I just saw, like, there's a bunch of people. The guards never shot back. It didn't really seem like they really put up that much of a fight.
Until they were making it where they were, like, about to get to Pence.
Right.
That's where the lady died. Like, breaking in. Legitimately was the first one to climb through the Senate.
So, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Who shot her?
That's what. So they didn't. I don't believe it was Capitol Police. I think it was Secret Service. That's what it looked like.
Because they try. That's what I
it
thought.
Looked
it was
to be
some
Secret
kind of government
Service
agency. They like at least initially
they
made it seem like it was a Trump person who had shot somebody. At least from what I was seeing.
So, and this is where you'll probably dive into conspiracies. There are some things that are weird to me. So there's 4 deaths in total. 3 of them from medical emergencies, and they didn't really specify. So I don't know if that's they were choking
COVID.
on. They were choking. That's probably where they'll go. They had COVID plus tear gas, killed them. No, and that's seriously. They were all at the rally for sure, so they're counting them as deaths here. That's what a huge thing on the internet today is that the same amount of deaths as Benghazi happened in this, which I don't legitimately. I didn't look further, but as much tweets I read and Google stuff I read, I would have assumed they would have told me more details about the 3, which they didn't. Like I don't even know male versus female. All I know is about the woman who died, and I know a lot about her. I know she's an Air Force veteran. I know she was unarmed, but that making it that far seems crazy,
bro. So I have to get something off my
go ahead,
chest,
go
bro,
ahead.
because you know that I run in these circles. You know that I know about Trump people, and you know that I know what's going on in the inner workings.
And you've definitely been getting those texts for the last couple of weeks.
I've been getting texts, emails.
That's one of the most. I don't even want to say how you felt about it, so I'll let you talk.
But what I want you to know right now is no Trump supporter that I know knows how to do parkour like those dudes who were in that White House. So I'm not going to say that they were...
I'm going to be honest. One of the people you've talked to me about, you used to do parkour with. You guys went through a whole parkour thing.
That's all right. There's a little bit of truth in that.
I know 2 people who have ever done parkour in my life.
Bro, when I
both
think of
supported
Trump supporters, and then I see...
that might be a cross-section.
Bro,
parkour
and just accidentally crack like anyone you know who does parkour. No, but when I watch those videos and there's like one dude hanging, just like I was like, this can't be real. This is some kind of
I'm surprised
drug.
you weren't like, I would have liked to shoot him with a couple rubber bullets. That looks like a fun target.
I was
Dude,
like,
that was wild.
This
though.
is crazy. The dude's got his feet up on the desk. There's people scaling the walls. This dude, I think he had what are those ninja hooks with they throw? I swear to God, somebody had
a grappling hook like Zelda. He was far in
this
Zelda.
This can't be real, bro. Throwing grappling hooks into the Capitol building, which just so everyone knows, the Capitol building and the White House are not the same thing. Yeah. I saw that. Well, bro,
also,
the internet has been filled with so much nonsense the past 24 hours. I just want to float it out.
Yeah,
there.
that's why they call it the Hill. There's Capitol Hill.
That's like ASL is all silent.
Oh no, no. So just a heads up. Yeah, that's another thing most people don't know. The vice president is the president of the Senate. So everyone kept calling Pence president yesterday, and they were like, "You know what that means?" Like, no, it doesn't. They're calling him president because the vice president is president of the Senate. Kamala Harris will be the new president of the Senate. So, but yeah, go ahead, keep going. That was crazy.
Yeah, no, I was just getting a kick out of it, and like, so
But you weren't because you were like not feeling well.
no. So I was getting a kick out of the pictures and stuff, but in reality, like the whole event was so disconcerting to me, bro. Because one, being a part of that group, this was like the first time in my life I've been like, I might be wrong. Like,
That's not good.
I might really no. I question myself. All that you could ask my dad.
Yeah.
That's like the people I've been talking about all this. Like, I'll look at an argument from both sides and really try and be objective. But this is the first because like for the past 4 years, I've pretty much been like these liberals are just out of their minds. They think everybody's racist. They think this. They think that. I'm like, it's just not the way it is.
So sorry to interrupt you, but I want to give you this kudos in a way because I said this to Bree yesterday. Is like I'm really happy that Julie and I talk as much as we do, but really that we talked a couple weeks ago where you did have that. You had that where you were like, oh my God, I've realized there's Trump supporters who are Republicans, but then there's Republicans, or even conservatives. There's people who value conservative views, and that's why I always say, like, I do have a lot of conservative views. But like you are a conservative to the T.
Pretty much.
More than a libertarian, I would even say. I think there's stuff you don't care about as much.
Probably
but I think
if I had to pick, I would say I'm conservative.
I would always say it makes sense for anyone who's super faithful, like you are, or at least are working on, to be conservative. It just aligns more with conservative views. If you don't think that, then you're not paying attention. But you learned that, I feel like, a few weeks ago, like, oh, like I'm not like some of the people I'm close to, because this is where we break off. Insanity is where these people are going, and I'm realizing, yes, I do vote for this person because my life is closer to the views that this person will instill,
Right.
whether I think he's an idiot or not. And that's what I said before, is like I chose the opposite, which was just like I morally don't feel right voting for a guy who we know people like. I mean, I'll say we know one person especially who's very Trump like dude. Like, and I have someone very close to me, has been very close to me my whole life. I'm not gonna bust that person out per se on the show, but like very close to me, who is that they don't accept defeat, so they will literally lie and lie and lie to not accept defeat. They're never wrong. Like that. Watching Trump do those things, I realized pretty early on, and that's the arguments we had in the past, was like, if you're just mad about what he tweets, then you're looking at the wrong things in terms of a president, which I can also agree with. But in terms of being the person he is I look at the people we know or the person we know and like, that's the president. That's how I literally view him. And people calling him this super genius is like.
So, bro, that's, and just to go back to what I was saying when you gave me credit that you just gave me, which I appreciate, is that was really when I started to really question. And now at this point that things have calmed down, I don't question myself. I still think I'm right about pretty much everything. But I think it's like I've really
talking about you.
That's my co-host right here.
I've really, but now I know for a fact, like,
since he said it, I'll bust him out. I was talking about Julie.
That's fair. I had that coming.
Nah.
But like, so just because we happen to vote for the same guy doesn't mean we're on the same team.
Absolutely.
You know, like, and
if you're a sane liberal, you should feel that same way. I hope.
But like, it's hard, especially right now, because the whole past year, for real, what other than, COVID will be an obvious one, but like, that's not really that. Anyway, what issue have they talked about? What at the debates? What was the issue that?
Yeah, Trump talked about all the stuff he did way before, or what he would plan to do. Biden talked about everything Trump didn't do and what he would do that Trump didn't do.
So, but like,
I think that's how
I
understood it.
Did you hear a plan about Social Security?
Nope.
You hear what they're going to do with all the orphans?
Oh, I started recently hearing what they would do about checks.
Space Force.
No, that's not 2020 though, right? Wasn't that like? Oh, no, that might have been early 2020.
They're gonna send.
I mean, honest, dude, 2020 is super long, by the way, because
2020. I was thinking about what you said the other day. Like 2020 was long.
When you think of World War III being in January, that's crazy. A year ago was World War III. That's what. Well, so they threatened. That was the thing that happened. I don't know if you saw that. They hacked into traffic control to tell them that they were gonna crash a plane into the Capitol because to get back for the Iranian guy that we killed a year ago.
Bro, they probably just watch these videos and like, if people can just walk in there.
No, it was private. No, it was private. They said on the 6th. They said on the 6th they were gonna do it. But that's what.
But still, I bet you terrorists are watching like, bro, yo, this is really cake.
I'm about to throw on this MAGA shirt and act like I'm a disheveled Trump supporter. And
put a buffalo hat on. You see that dude? What was he doing, bro?
That was my uncle.
Dude, he had like the real just Nazi tattoo. They pointed out the Nazi symbolism too. Like that dude just doesn't
Good
even
for
care.
him, bro. Live your life, I guess.
Bro, he was looking like he raided Sandy Cheeks like SpongeBob and Patrick did. Doing the hat was in there with no... Dude, they were in there kicking it. They had their feet up on
They didn't
desks.
even seem like they were taking it serious. That wasn't a little bit of a red flag.
No, did you see the picture of the old lady who was sitting like a weird, creepy dude at the club? She was just like against one of the columns, just like just chilling. That and the fact that these dudes broke windows and everything to get in, but then they stayed in the red velvet lines when they ran through.
Some conditioning, bro. You just can't get rid of it.
That's true.
They put up those bars, you gonna walk in the middle of them. Somebody tried to crawl under, they grabbed him like, no, we go this way.
We go this way.
You're doing it wrong, damn it.
No, so
make this look bad.
No, did you see the one dude who stole the not the platform? It's like where they speak at. What is that called? The
podium.
Podium. Yeah, he like stole the presidential podium, and he walked out and smiled at the camera like, "How far are you getting?" It's a replica. Bought it from the gift shop.
No, he's getting out of there. They're gonna be like, "Well, good to see you."
I hope he keeps it. I hope his great grandkids get
Thanks
to
for
talk
stopping
at
by,
that.
guys.
My great grandfather was fighting for freedom down there when they stole the election.
Oh, and it's gonna be worth
Here we go.
couple million Bitcoin.
At that point,
I'm gonna be so pissed.
All right, but talk your stuff, man. Come on.
Bro, how am I gonna keep talking? I can't remember shit when you.
Wow.
Where was I talking
Interrupting
about?
you. My bad.
I don't even remember.
Don't make me get
Julian rant time. Let's go.
No, I don't even know what
So-
I really don't remember what I was talking
But
about.
you messaged me yesterday about wanting to talk about something. So all Trump supporters.
Yeah, I mean we beat that to death. So thank you for reminding me. But it was just a weird day. It was a weird day to realize like all these people that I talked to and this stuff. That doesn't mean I don't like them. I don't love them. I don't think they're smart. But when they really bought into all of the, and it's not even their fault, bro. I've never seen so much bad information. This whole Trump election stealing thing, I told you and I'll admit, but you guys, luckily I'm on record weeks ago saying I don't listen to these people. But for a couple weeks, I did listen. Like, I was like, no, this got stolen. Da-da-da-da-da. What about these videos? But eventually, after people just keep saying things that don't ever happen, you gotta be like, no, they're not telling the truth. It's obvious. Who's the dude that I take? Linwood.
Yeah,
bro,
Linwood.
He's off of his rocker. If
Or
you listen to
he
anything,
has some crazy facts.
No, he's roaming Reddit, bro. That's where he's getting his facts
Well,
from.
now he's on. So this is why it was super funny that it came out yesterday. And dude, Matt Gaetz and Mo Brooks are literally saying this in the House. Like they are not playing games, saying that it was Antifa who did all this.
Yeah, I saw.
And
I saw a post that had like pictures of Antifa people there.
But did you see the one of the dude in the horns? The dude that wore that fur cap? He was like at a BLM, and that dude was there, and he had a sign, but they kept cropping the sign out. But his sign said "Q sent me."
So I just, this is what I'm starting to really believe. Going on to the conspiracy side, I think there's just a group of people who like causing trouble that show up to all this shit.
To BLM,
either way.
Yeah, yep.
Either way.
100%.
With that, but to back off,
And they're probably the professional climbers that we watched.
I think so. I'm telling you, those people aren't lifelong Republicans, bro. They don't climb like. I mean, maybe me and Destin could climb like that, but when I'm on my gun forums and these other spots,
they're not.
these
climbers.
old timers talking about shooting people are not being.
Well, no. So this is where you need to get to. So this is why So this is what made it funny to me. So I don't know if you've heard about this social media, but conservatives have been going to the social media for a couple months now called Parler. Write it down so you could hop on there.
No.
These dudes have been bragging and talking about what they were about to do for a couple weeks. Like, there was a dude who was like jumping Senate seats who talked about zip tying people in a hog tie fashion, and they show him with a bundle of zip ties in the Senate. Like these dudes were on part. So that I do think I agree with you. I think there is something to be said about there's a core group who are making things bigger than they need to be. Do I think they're driving busloads of Antifa to every event? No. Do I think people are showing up to be agitators? Absolutely. And the reason I believe that is if you look at reports from the FBI of people who have been arrested for BLM, it's legit like 49% are just like white people. And that 49% is half conservative views based on research FBI did and liberal views. And they, most times, the bulk of everyone that or all the outside people outside of that core group, it's like their first criminal offense. But then there's this core group who has multiple offenses that seems like you said, are doing this everywhere. So do I think this, I do think this was something that was pushed more by Trump supporters, but I think it was more based on, dude, if you watch the rally that Trump and them did, they were like, we're going to march to the Capitol and tell them what we want. And then Giuliani, who I know you love Rudy so much, so I'm going to bring him up. He's legit said we need trial by combat. And then hours later, they're storming the Capitol.
I don't know how anyone takes him seriously, bro.
But how is that not criminal at this point? That's inciting. Like, dude, if you did that, you would be in jail.
Yeah, what's
as a random.
Here's the so there's so much to unpack. We have to organize this conversation. I'm having a lot of fun, but there's so much to unpack because one, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and that idiot we just talked about.
Even funnier, Trump's fired Sidney Powell like months ago.
Months ago.
Oh, months ago. Yeah.
I think before the election.
So she's still doing all this stuff, acting as like a Trump and
putting
with
all
Rudy.
of this information out. So this is where I wanted to go because you said like you think this was mostly backed by Trump supporters, which I won't disagree with, but they were purposefully manipulated by this group of like high-ranking Trump people who actually aren't affiliated with them at all.
But then Trump though.
Right, but
that's what
if you go to like this dude why can't I remember Linwood for months
because it's weird because we know a dude named Linwood and this dude's name is separated.
But it's like almost every day he's just posting like QAnon stuff. Like
but now
like
they banned him from Twitter yesterday,
good.
So he's on Parler. Just
so yeah,
crazy.
I will agree that Trump has shared like, oh, I got cheated, this and that.
Well,
but
and that's what I said to you is like, what's super scary is he will share Lynn Wood's post, like,
and other questionable people.
When you have the guy who's the strongest human in the world in terms of power in a role is Trump. No matter how you feel about him, you at least need to admit that, right? To share what you're sharing and telling people you were literally robbed. That's even like why I feel like they lost the Georgia. They lost both seats. And I thought they lost them because Trump was literally telling them it's fraud and the election's fraud. And they had a super low turnout in a lot of their like north rural Georgia areas that really would have won them the election if they would have even shown up like they did, which is factual. If you don't know, Trumpism only works with Trump. If Trump's not on the ballot, it has shown it does not work. But I do think, what's that dude's name? Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz? Them dudes, they're trying to steal that Trump. They want that Trump audience, man, and they do not care.
Yeah, and so that's another, like, I wonder if that's like these people's angle who keep saying these lies. So, I mean, just really quick, let's go officially.
Yeah.
I do think there was probably some voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Some.
I don't think enough to turn it, but I think there was some.
I also think that social media had encouraged a lot of, I looked it up today, like Gen Z and millennials voted over 60% for Biden. Us combined is over 100 million people. But they're not all registered.
I always say that. I do feel like a lot of stuff was anti-Trump. I would guess that 2/3 of Biden votes, honestly, were anti-Trump votes.
And I would Right. So my point being that everyone's always like, you think that Biden got the most vote? Like, bro, it's always like, if you see what social media pushes, especially on younger kids, like, it's not surprising to me. Yeah. One. Two, there's some weird stuff going on. Maybe some of it's real, maybe some of it's not. But the president of the United States, like you just said, the most powerful man, at least in the Western civilization, had 2 months, and he couldn't even get a court to hear a case. If you follow it closely, you'll see when all of these people, Lin Wood and the Sidney Powell type characters, they get in court and they have nothing to say.
Dude, in Pennsylvania, they didn't offer evidence. And that's like legal professionals said the reason they didn't offer evidence is because they would get disbarred for arguing that. So it's number 77, but it's called something. It's something 77 was a law passed in 2018 or 2017 by a majority of Republican legislators in Pennsylvania that made the election the way it is. You know, that they can't count votes for a certain time and all this stuff. There's Republicans who voted for this that are saying that the election is fraud based on something they voted for. And that's where, to me, it's just like, and like you even said, and where you realize, like, okay, this is where I'm going to take my stand and say I don't believe in it, is that if these people won't even bring the evidence that they claim on the internet over and over again to a court, then they must be lying.
So that's the part. That's when it became. Not if you were to ask me, hey Julian, when did this become obvious to you? After I looked at multiple court cases where we've got all of the Sydney chick, like, I've got the Kraken is what and she's on record like, I don't ever take a side. I can't win. Blah blah blah. And then she goes to court and then literally a lame duck, bro. Nothing.
Dude, if her and Rudy Giuliani don't get disbarred, then no one in the history of law should ever get disbarred. One of hers got dismissed, and this is where Trump supporters are right though. They're arguing some are getting thrown out when they didn't actually read the evidence. Sidney Powell issued a Michigan lawsuit in Pennsylvania. Like, the stuff she was arguing was Michigan stuff, and she made the law. How are you a lawyer? And that's why I do think, like, if you can't do, I actually wrote lawyers down. I wanted to talk about that a couple episodes ago. So I will talk about them after this. But if you don't even know, like, where you're filing, or if you're saying really, really dumb stuff in your filings, you can't be mad that it's getting dismissed. Take your time, do better, or get a better team. And that will go with, if you hire Gloria Allred or Ben Crump or who's the other one? Lisa Bloom. I wrote them down, so that's what helped me, like, thinking of what I wrote down. If you hire them, I automatically am looking at you suspect. First of all, I don't even know how they make this work. So Ben Crump is someone who, he's always with all the black families. Anything happens, he's doing the issue with them, and it just always makes me feel like it's just a money grab. And he's won a lot. I think it's over 200 civil suits alone for wrongful convicted or like just racial bias type suits. But he's only licensed to do law in Florida. But as soon as you see something going on with someone black in the law, he's standing up for these press conferences, and it all immediately makes me feel like, I don't like it. It's just like Al Sharpton. And I'm going to talk about them, and then I'll talk about Lisa Bloom and Gloria Allred. They're the women one, where if it's some rape stuff, you're going to see them there.
Yeah, that's where I remember the Allred one, I think.
And I'm just like, don't get me wrong. I understand expertise. I understand experience. But, they are money-hungry, money-grabbing people. And as much as I see them on these press conferences, there's no way that they're doing law at all. They're literally there to be weird spokespeople.
But why? Like, because that's what I've been wondering about with Giuliani stuff and all these other characters.
Dude, you could lose all these lawsuits and then do civil suits, even though you lost the lawsuit, do a civil suit, and they'll give you money. Most people settle.
But, like, so Sidney Powell or Lin Wood, what's their career like after 2020?
Hopefully they're going to be chilling with, like, Tommy Lauren and Laura Ingram.
Don't bring her.
They just gonna be kicking it together, doing nothing.
But like, if any news show that has any of these people on, no credibility. At least, then again, I guess most people are clueless. But like, these people are just lying. So long story short, to summarize the last 10 minutes,
That dude Lynn Wood is crazy.
people are just lying blatantly and like, yelling out fire in the movie theater, all of this stuff, and then obviously the right wing reacts how they want to react. It's troubling, bro. I mean, I don't know how to finish that, because I mean, we've been talking about 50 other things, which is, it's all good, but like, I don't know how to finish that now. Like, yeah, so they're wrong. I mean, the people who stormed the Capitol, I think, is kind of crazy. I think they're obviously hypocrites. Me and RG talked about this earlier. I would be curious to see your take. But immediately, my Facebook timeline turned into all of the black people saying, "Oh, if those were black people, they would have got shot. Whoop-de-wop." Maybe it's true. Maybe, it's like, how many licks does it take? They weren't there. I don't know.
I don't think they would have made it that far. And the reason I don't think is proof, because in June in D.C., they had protests, and they had like 10 rows of the National Guard. I don't know if you've seen that, but the D.C. asked for the National Guard to be what's it called? Like, to be dispersed, and they got rejected by the Pentagon, which seems a little suspect.
That's weird.
Also, they were running around the Senate for like 2 hours.
I did know that.
That's a little suspect too.
So they, like, from at least what I saw, they, like, dudes with guns escorted them out, and then, like, people just walked in. Like, they escorted the senators out, I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then, like, people
And then they just didn't
in.
worry about it anymore.
But, I mean, I don't know, bro.
There was some weird suspect stuff there.
This whole thing is suspicious.
You seen them taking selfies?
Yep.
I feel like that was someone dressed up like a cop. That couldn't have been real. That's too much.
But see, that's the part where it gets wonky to me, bro. Like, so I think they didn't take them serious. Like,
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but I don't agree with what happened. But I agree with I don't think
I don't think anyone ever felt like they were in danger, and maybe that's because they were all white people.
That's kind of going on Rich's point,
Yeah.
though. Then because they're black, they're in danger now. All of a sudden.
I mean, so here's the thing, though. Like,
they did have guns, bro. They didn't have the BLM didn't have guns,
so there's a couple arguments to be made.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, and that's fair, and I'm happy you are. I'm happy you're
producer
participating.
here.
It makes me happy. One, I think they're both wrong on this. I think that any Black Lives Matter or whatever activists who are mad at these people are obviously hypocrites. Because when you felt like nobody was listening, it was 100% fair for you to take it to the streets. But when white people think no one's listening, they're not allowed to.
Okay.
That's obviously...
I'm going to let you finish now. I'll tell my part.
I'm
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
No, but this is a discussion. This isn't a monologue. Mm-hmm. So tell me what is that incorrect?
Yeah, this is why I'll say. So I felt like when you texted me yesterday, would be the conversation. So I was a little bit ready for it. Watching what we all watched, which was someone get kneed on for 9 minutes straight, which you admitted on air is wrong. Mm-hmm. And seeing stuff like that where cops aren't being punished, and it brought worldwide protests first. I've been to protests. I've been to a protest in Sacramento before there was any riots or anything, or things stolen or looting, where National Guard was there. And they're out there with weapons, not drawn, but they do things that are weird, where they'll line up, 20 deep, and they'll take slow steps towards you. It's very antagonizing, which is weird. But that's what people were, like, that's what people's issue was humanity. You're killing us. There should be a punishment. There's not right now. These were sore losers. This to me is something this is treason.
But so to you, they're sore losers.
But
to them,
you tried to overthrow the government. If that's not treason or sedition at the very least, like we're talking about
a little extreme.
We're talking about people who are fighting against innocent people being killed. Like this dude literally, we talked about, this dude had a $20 bill, a fake $20 bill. So if you don't know this, 52 arrests yesterday, 52 total arrests, 26. So that's new then.
Yeah.
That's new. It was 56 as of this morning, or 52 as of this morning, and 26 of them were from inside of the. There was more than 26 by far. It looked like. So that's where my argument is. So I get it. Like, yeah, to me, you're sort, but it was a person murdered, and we can agree on that, right? It may be my feeling that they're being sore losers.
Right, but here's the thing. People get murdered every day. Why did they protest? And I mean, you were there when they were protesting the same night they rioted.
Yeah.
So let's.
Yeah, but the cops came and antagonized everyone. Did they do that in D.C. yesterday? They did not.
Let me throw something out there to cut it off. But what if that's the antagonizers fucking doing all the rioting? Because you know when they had all those pictures of the rioters, it was like hella white people stealing TVs.
Well, bro, I've told you before. I'm always suspicious of white people who participate in that stuff. And I do agree with you. I'm on record.
So you don't feel like they were trying to overthrow what the government was doing at that time?
There's two things going on. So what you just said was that what I already had said, which I do think for the most part, there's some kind of group of people who have an interest in blowing these things up. Mm-hmm. So to your point, I already agree with that. To your question, do I think that the people who were at the White House yesterday were trying to overthrow the government? No. Of course, bro.
You don't think they were trying to stop what the government was doing at the time, which was counting electoral votes?
Oh, they were? Oh, yeah.
Do I think they were? I don't.
You don't think they were trying to stop that? You don't think they? So there was a rally called Stop the Steal Rally. They marched from a big platform of Trump speaking, Giuliani speaking, and I think it was Don Jr. speaking. They walked immediately from there to
right. No, I know I know where you're going, and not to cut you off, but just to save everyone's time. To them, they're not trying to overthrow any. This is the thing, and this is my problem. Why I don't think either side is right or wrong. I think they're both retarded. The problem is that people on the other side can't see the other side. The reason I asked you this question that didn't get answered, the reason they riot and protest and all of that is not because some guy died. The reason they riot and protest and everything is because no one's listening to them. People die every day. The cops kill 250 people a year. We know that. That's a fact. Dude, why is there not protests constantly?
Because we watched this one on camera and there's literally no excuse.
Well,
it was proof for everyone.
All right. I don't want to get into an argument about this guy. But is it new that cops kill black people?
No, it's not. But
it's been happening forever.
But
so what makes people go out and do shit though?
The videotape, like they see it.
No, that's not, bro. At least to me.
Yeah.
The reason why
say that because that's false.
Is because no one's listening. If let's say that he got killed on camera and then we got the result that we wanted, would they protest?
No.
So they're protesting then because they didn't get the result they wanted.
I get what,
okay.
Logically, you can't say anything else.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Yeah,
but when white people don't get the result they want, they can't protest.
That's not what.
Is it logically true or no?
You're using the literal most helicopter airplane view to get your point across.
Is it logical or not?
Let me do this. Yes, on an airplane view, a sky view, you are right. If we look from 10,000 feet, you are right. But you're comparing, we want to stop being killed, and if we are killed, we want that person to go to jail. Because if I kill you on camera, I'm going to jail. Not because I'm black, just because I'm a civilian. Cops aren't. They're literally killing people on camera innocently and not going to jail. That's our issue. The person you wanted to win didn't win. You can't prove fraud. They can't prove fraud. You stormed a government building. You weren't shot like we're being shot. You weren't kneeled on for 9 minutes because you brought a $20 bill. That's what I get what you're saying. If you just kept deducing it as far as you possibly could, then you would get to it's because they're not listening to us. But one group, you're not listening to us because we're being killed and we're not getting justice. The other group is we lost, but we feel like we won, and you're not listening to us. That's the difference. And if you are saying those two things aren't completely on the opposite side of the spectrums, that's crazy.
You aren't putting yourself in two different situations. You're looking at them from your position. One side does not, they're not saying we lost, but we think we won. They're saying we won, and the Constitution has been broken, so you guys can follow these rules. They smashed a couple windows, whatever. I'm not saying they're right. What I'm saying is they're more alike than what people want to admit. People don't get what they want, whether it's the left or the right, and they throw a fit, and they do the shit that they say the other side does, and they call the other side this, they call the other side, and the black, oh, they're racist, they got white privileges. It's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing.
One of the most common topics we talk about is people thinking what they feel is fact. We watched a man get murdered with nothing. You have said,
bro, the dude got arrested. Did Derek, whatever his name is, get arrested? Did they charge him for manslaughter or whatever?
Who? It's like third degree manslaughter. No. The
cop
dude
who killed the guy.
No, he didn't get murdered. He got like third degree manslaughter. Exactly.
To get him convicted.
And it was a battle. That's why. And it was after.
You guys are trying to. You're conflating my argument. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying nothing. I'm saying if you think that when black people are mad, they should get to riot.
No, we never.
I think when black people are right, they should get to riot.
Well, I don't
know. Who decides who's right? You? Because you agree with them?
No, this is what I'm saying. No, hold on. Listen, this is what we talk about on a regular basis. What you feel is not
Taylor
fact.
One. Was that fact?
No.
And then let's talk about that one.
Okay, that's
acceptable, and this isn't.
Tio.
Then they're both wrong.
Let's pull it back here.
One is you lost an election, you're trying to overturn an election. There are literal laws against that. If you're saying there's not, then how can you claim that you're a pro-Constitution guy? Sedition is in the Constitution. If you're telling me, literally, the reason that they said Trump was not doing sedition is because there was no force act in this. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. You agreed. There was now a force act where they stormed the Capitol when they were trying to put through the electoral vote to overturn what they were doing. I just don't know how you can view this as a super patriot, is how I view you, and say these are the same exact things. People are fighting for their lives and their people's lives, and these people are being sore losers, which you agree with because there's no facts out there that say that voter fraud would overturn this election. You also said that you disagreed with the guy who kneeled on George Floyd. Too. So you're agreeing with me and then acting like what I'm saying is just my opinion. No,
what
it's
I'm
facts.
saying is they're both retarded. That's what I'm saying.
I think what's getting lost here is that
here talking to the here speak up. This is the first.
Here, I'm gonna say a couple things,
and then I'm gonna try and get a shot.
And then you guys can fucking just do whatever. One, the rioters. There was two set. I think what's getting lost here is the rioters and the BLM protesters are the same. They're not the same. And like, even though there was black people rioting, they were like, it's just dumb young kids doing stupid shit. Same thing with the protests.
Right.
Some of those people were just doing it. Like, if you're taking shit, having pictures and stuff, it's not for the cause. You're just like the idiot out there fucking doing it, right? But you like. It's not the same thing. I get what you're saying, and I would agree. Like, it is kind of, but it's not really at the same time. It's not just black and white, right? What they did, the biggest thing today is that they stormed the Capitol, got in, and they were just like, all right, let them have it. That's the piece that I think that people are, like, really pissed about. It's not that they protest. It's that what they got there and got in and, like, just let them have it. We're all good.
This is even a good point that Kenny brought up. There's a difference between BLM standing up and being like, yo, we protest, the people who are rioting are wrong, and Trump support, and them coming out and saying, and Trump, not just Trump supported, Trump standing up in there and telling them, let's go march on the Capitol, and then them doing it is different.
Or you'll probably say that he didn't say this, but he did say, go home.
But he said we lost. He
said,
home, bro. Versus like,
he said, "Go home. I understand you're frustrated. We love you. You're patriots."
Out in Portland and said,
you're special people.
You were in Portland. They took Portland over for the 90 days, 100 days. We had people break 7 windows and climb walls, bro. It's the same thing.
Though.
Come on, bro. You guys are so fucking emotional.
Here's the thing. It's not emotional. It's fact. You can't say
You're-
hold on. You can't say
There's
hold
two
on.
screaming people. I've talked for 2 whole minutes.
Oh,
You guys
okay.
have both gone the fuck off for
Okay,
20 minutes.
okay,
Am I
hold
right
on.
or wrong?
Wrong. Watch the tape over again. You're wrong.
You're right. I've
Hold on
been
a second.
talking most
I'm
of the
just
time.
saying to what you're saying. The Portland, right? You're saying he condemned what they did at Portland, right? They took over the federal courts. I'm not saying any of that's right. But like if it was 1 day or 90 days, they still did it, right? Now they're storming the Capitol's like, hey guys, go home.
Are they
We're
still
all
there?
good. Bro, I don't.
Are they still there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
How many people were there? Was it thousands? I didn't see thousands of people there. You?
At the rally or at the Capitol?
At the Capitol.
I know, not thousands.
Okay. So we had a
Did you
tiny
see more
group
than
of people.
26 people?
I
I
would say
agree
there's
with you.
100 to 300 people.
So more than 26 arrests probably should have happened.
Should more 26 arrests happen during these riots all summer?
Yeah, and thousands happen. To be
don't-
exact, I think it's
Oh,
44,000.
let me. Did 100% of the people who participated get arrested in those?
No.
Okay, so I don't know what the point is. My point is that whether you're left in BLM, whatever the fuck you think is important, or you're on the right, you guys are both wrong. I think you're both stupid and uninformed at that extent. I'm not saying everyone on the left and everyone is stupid. I think people on the right probably should condemn accurately what is going on, at least to the best of their ability. I think people on the left should condemn the same thing when it goes on. I think people on the right are being hypocritical for supporting this if they condemned what happened in the summer, which I don't know if all of them did.
I also
I
agree
think
with
people on the left who supported what happened in the summer
also condemn it.
cannot come out now and say the opposite. If you want to say, oh, some guy got his neck nailed on, I get that. I'm not arguing that specific. Let's pick a different one. We can talk about the Breonna Taylor one. We can talk about whatever. The 90 days in Portland. We can talk about Antifa. It doesn't have to be George Floyd.
But they started with George Floyd, so we have to talk about that.
Well, that's why I brought it up. But my point being, if we're going to draw a line where one side gets to judge the other side, both sides have to follow it. So I'm not saying these people were right. I started this whole thing off saying
But you saying they're even is wrong.
It's the same exact thought process. I don't get what I want. I get to go act a fool.
That's crazy.
I don't get what I want. I get to go act a
You're
fool.
right. You're right. But if someone shoots up your house and the cops don't do anything, and if the ice cream man gives me the wrong ice cream, are not the same fucking thing. And if you believe
Okay.
that, then
So
I mean,
one
that's
side
cool.
one side of the world may believe,
Hold on a second. I just want to.
bruh, if I can't get a thought
sorry,
out before
I didn't mean to
getting
cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
no,
Yeah.
That was my bad.
no go.
That was my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, you shouldn't interrupt me next time. No.
Yeah. This is not even my
To
bad.
say those are equal is crazy to me. I mean, and
Bro,
yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right.
saying
That's
it's
why
the-
we do
I'm
a
not
show,
trying to
because
say
we're
it's the
we're
same
opposites.
thing. What I'm saying is it's the same thought, which you you are Mr. Principal. It's not about if George Floyd was wrongfully murdered.
Why
That's
isn't
not
it?
my point. Bro, how many people are wrongfully murdered every year? If you just had to guess, I'm not
How
gonna
many
fact
people
check you.
lose
100?
elections every year? I mean, I don't know.
One every
person
4
lose-
years.
One person loses an
One
election.
president.
I didn't say president. I said person.
I don't know. However many.
So
Can I make my joke here?
Please insert it.
God. I mean, I just want to make this really funny joke.
is it what's a fish with no
It better.
eyes?
I better laugh.
I'm just saying, for someone to say that I was yelling for 20 minutes and I was only yelling for 5 minutes, you shouldn't even listen to this motherfucker ever.
No,
I
because
got a bad- I got a bad track. I got a bad
I cut him off all the time. So the cut him off thing is for sure something I'm working on, and I say this literally after every show.
This was the
But to
best show.
but to me, it just wouldn't feel like I can get what you're saying. I'm not gonna act like I can't understand what you're saying, but to act like it's not a super high view of it.
It is a high view, but
But-
that doesn't mean it's.
But we
any
can break
less
it down
true.
though, right?
And we can. And if we
we
want to break
should.
it down, I'll give you certain here's and there's. But all right, George Floyd. Let's just go on record. George Floyd was wrong. If that cop would have acted differently, he would be alive. Blah blah blah. The cop got charged. It didn't.
Okay,
People
cool.
still wanted to.
Do you
press
feel like the
charges, all
election
of
was
that.
fraud?
Do I feel like it's fraud?
Do you think there's
No.
factual evidence that show that the election could be
No.
overturned
No.
through fraud?
Because they cannot prove it in court. I'll say, which is what counts.
Because you can then
Okay,
say
so
Asian.
one-
But to a white person 6 months ago,
So that's okay.
what?
That because you think that we
No,
literally
none
discuss-
of it is okay. That's what you keep missing. I think they're both
So even
wrong.
if you feel like you're in the wrong, you shouldn't protest.
But people who they think they're right though, bro. That's what you keep
But
dismissing.
That doesn't matter.
To you.
It shouldn't matter to you because we literally talk about how just because you think
That's why
something-
me, who cares about neither, thinks they're both wrong.
But why?
But to,
One group was right though. One group was wrong.
okay. But you're
Factually.
not always right. Are you always right?
No, but
so if
in
you
this
get to act stupid every time you think you're right, that's the result.
No. The result we watched yesterday, yeah, that's my problem.
Okay, you're right.
Right? I mean,
No.
Tell
you're
me
not
how-
right, but I keep saying the same thing. I don't know if you're not hearing it.
it doesn't make sense.
There's always a good guy and a bad guy. The Iraqis think Saddam Hussein thought
Why'd
he
you
was
point at
right.
me when you said Iraqi?
Just because I'm pointing.
No, fuck that.
My
I'm outta
bad,
here.
bro. I didn't
knew
mean
I
it.
was gonna quit this
So
damn show.
Saddam Hussein thinks he's right.
Yeah.
Muammar Gaddafi thought he was right. Everyone thinks no one picks the wrong side. But we're not all right all the time. That's why there's institutions. Because the times we are wrong, that's where the institution is supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that in this particular case, if we're going to talk only about George Floyd, that they maybe were right to protest. The riots is another story. The point is that the idea that if I'm upset, I get to go destroy other people's stuff. Yeah, okay. In one particular case, maybe they were more justified. In one case, they were less justified.
So what
But
we need to
the
do is not
idea-
use, we don't need to use factual things. We need to just use
No, the
A and B.
No,
A
no.
and B.
What we need to do is not react in this way, regardless of what the problem is. That's the answer.
So they
Because
shouldn't even
you
have
can
put,
never guarantee
So-
that you're right.
the right to protest shouldn't be in the Constitution. It was dumb for them to put it in the Constitution.
So were they protesting yesterday?
No.
Okay, were they protesting when they
Yeah.
took over Portland?
No.
Were they protesting when they broke into downtown mall?
No, they've been
Okay,
condemning
then
those people
you
though.
keep conflating these two things.
But you're talking about protests
So
versus
before,
what happened
before
yesterday.
the people who so you think every single person who was at the protest stormed the Capitol?
No.
Okay, then I
But
don't know
we're
why
talking
you
about
bring it up.
storming the Capitol versus
And I'm talking about
George Floyd protest.
I'm talking about George Floyd riots, which happened for 3 months, depending where
But you
look.
use BLM, but BLM has been protesting.
Because you get to decide if you have they been protesting or rioting. So 0 people from BLM riot as well.
I mean, they might have rioted.
Okay, so you're trying to like split this hair. It doesn't make a difference.
Okay,
Like,
you guys are both right, but both wrong.
I that's probably some truth in there, but my overarching
Kind of
point.
wrong.
Well, that's fair.
Okay, take it easy. Jesus Christ. Just,
Sorry, there's people in the comments as we
Because you need to lighten it up a little bit.
Well, it just to me, I'm not super pro Constitution. I think there's a lot of things in there that are made for when they were made.
what point?
And you are super pro Constitution, and to not feel like they did anything against America yesterday seems crazy to
Why
me.
can't
personally?
bro? This is the part you're not hearing. I keep saying they were wrong.
No, you said they're retarded. Yes, you did. But did you say when I said sedition, you said that's going too far. Based on the Constitution, if Obama led, let me use him because you hate him as a president.
I'm hearing you.
So if Obama did what Trump did yesterday and has been doing for the last 2 months since the election and did all this, and then people ran into the Capitol, would you feel the same way you feel now where it's like, all they did was, I mean, they just rioted essentially. It was just at the Capitol building. Would you feel that same way? Where they were stealing mail from the...
I think that and this is my fault. I think that so do you think that the people that dude with that buffalo hat on who ran in the Capitol, you think he thought he was going to stop the election?
Hold on a second. You gotta answer
Yes.
the question.
Fuck no, bro. Yeah.
You gotta answer the question.
Which
You can't
question?
ask a question. He asks you a question, and then you just answer the question with the question. Okay.
You don't think they were trying to stop the electoral process? No joke. That's really how you feel.
Maybe that's where we disagree. I genuinely.
Why didn't they storm the Capitol on a different day? Senate and House have both been there on different days. It just seems weird they did it when they were doing the electoral college votes.
then
that was planned
this is
by
my
Trump.
fault. Because to me, I would say, if you want to stop the electoral college vote, 100 people taking selfies is not the way to do it. So maybe I'm conflating my thoughts with their thoughts. Maybe this tiny group of 1 to 300 people truly thought that they were going to stop the election. Maybe they did. I don't think they did. Maybe they did. I think they were just the dumbest of the people who showed up at the protest. Mob mentality. They go in there. But yeah, let's pretend they thought that they were going to. Then I guess charge them with whatever you want to charge them with. I'm not.
So what was the point of like storming the Capitol if you weren't trying to stop what was happening in the Capitol?
What was the point of stealing Yeezys, bro? Was that going to bring George Floyd back to life?
Bro,
Like, bro, when people turn retarded, I don't know why.
That's why we talk about it. They're opportunists. Those were people who wanted to steal Yeezys for Yeezys. I would say the same thing
about the people yesterday.
Yeah, but what were they going to do in the Capitol? I mean, yeah, the people who stole stuff from the Capitol, the dude who stole the podium. Yeah, you may be right,
bro. I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to make a point.
To me, on air, I will say this. It seems like you're giving one set of group the benefit of the doubt while not giving the other set the benefit of the doubt.
When I wholly 100% condemn two groups, I don't know how you can say that.
Well, because
I think you're upset that I'm condemning a group you agree with while I'm also condemning
well,
a
and
group
you also
don't
agreed with. That's what it was. You agreed with one set of circumstances and disagreed with the other and then called them the same. That's weird.
It's not weird, bro. Because here's the problem. Like, this is how we raise our kids. This is how we expect everyone to act. Like, when you don't get what you want, you do not get to act however you want. That's why there's institutions. If one side says we get to if one side gets to say, when we're upset, we get to overturn institutions, say they don't count, say this, that, and the other, and then one side at the time criticizes them, then 6 months later go and does the same thing because they obviously no longer believe in the institutions. That's the same thing.
So that's okay. All right. Now I finally feel like I understand. So your rationale is the very end point. It doesn't matter what the beginning point was. Your rationale is just because you didn't get what you want, you can't go throw a fit. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. I feel like that's something you should have mentioned. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You can't throw a fit just because you didn't get what you want. Right? Was that fair to say that's what your argument is right now?
I mean, I thought that I made it pretty clear, but yeah. Yeah, I would say that either A, here's the thing. Because I know you're going to bring this up. If we would have lost the revolution, we would have been wrong. But we happened to win, so we get to be right. If we had lost, we would be wrong.
If they would have stopped the electoral vote yesterday, they would have been right. Not now, but they would have been right in 10 years when we told the story, is what you're saying.
No, because that was a 0%, less than 0% chance. Now let's pretend this. Let's go in a different extreme. If yesterday there was a revolution and half the country showed up and fought.
Did you see that?
Dead ass to try and like.
Did you see that girl people. Elizabeth who got maced stepping one time into the Capitol and she said, "It's a revolution and that's why I got. Why are you storming the Capitol? Because it's a revolution. Why not? And I got maced and now I'm going home because it didn't go well." So all right.
So let me just finish that thought. If there was a revolution yesterday, the people who get to decide.
There's none more.
Yeah, I was going to say I think he's out. The people who get like. So now 6 months later, society gets to decide the truth or whatever the case is. So right now I get to say I think these people were wrong. But back to your point that you didn't make that I assumed you were about to make is if we would have lost the war, the Brits would have been like, they would have been like the Black Lives Matter in this situation where they get to decide, like, one side being right doesn't justify all action.
But do you feel like the people who rioted, and I'll say this for our commenters, do you feel like the people who rioted because they felt wronged?
I think
the BLM, the people who rioted at BLM protests, do you feel like they, after you opened up the show with, you feel like they're opportunists in a subgroup? Do you feel like they rioted because they felt like they were wronged? Or do you think that's what the peaceful protests were?
So I want to be clear. You can talk while I'm thinking.
I just have a comment, and I know it's kind of biased because my wife said it, but she said not getting what you want and not getting the same rights are totally different things, and I kind of like that. Kind of makes hella sense for me.
No, but I just want to go to that point. Do you feel like the people who rioted were rioting because they felt wrong?
I would say we're talking about Black Lives Matter riots or whatever, Antifa, whoever you want to blame that on.
Yeah.
I would say they rioted because they could. I would say they rioted, which would lump in that they were opportunistic. I would say that they felt justified morally. Not only were the cops allowing it, but they could go home and sleep at night because of the situation that they thought was going on. Like, if this is how the country is going to treat me, I am justified in behaving this way. And then to her point, I don't disagree with what while he's typing, just really quick. I'm not saying that everyone should not be treated equal. What I'm saying is your perception of being unequally treated is decided by you. The other side obviously doesn't agree, or they would be there with you. Right? So does the losing, like, who gets to decide who's right and wrong?
I mean, I just think
at the end of the real quick, who gets to decide who's right and wrong truly at the end of the day?
Hopefully facts. Not where we're heading, but
I guess us, but what I would
the majority, the society majority, I'm assuming is the answer.
No, I don't even know what I'm saying. Never mind.
I mean, it's a hard question, but it's a question that should be answered. For example, if the French Revolution, if they lost after they'd guillotined all of those people, then like we look back at it and the French peasantry was right because they won. Whoever wins, this isn't my original thought. We all know the victor, gets to write history.
Yeah, yep.
So my point is being only that like we can argue about if there's an objective truth or not, or history and this and that. But the point that I'm trying to make is what I already said. We have institutions that are supposed to sort this out. If Black Lives Matter gets to decide that these institutions are false and it justifies all of this behavior, it cannot be a surprise that 6 months later, white people are like, no, these institutions are ass, and I'm not going to listen to what they say. It's the same thing. It's a lack of trust and a expression of anger towards institutions that have no faith left in them. And I guess that's a 30-minute or 30-second argument for a fucking 30-minute argument.
That's how you felt. You felt like you talked 30 seconds that whole time.
No, that last 30 seconds while you were typing and he was
well, I was looking something up,
nodding at me.
Because I wanted to look up, because you keep acting like no one was arrested. So to give you perspective, on June 1st alone for a BLM protest in D.C., there was 289 people arrested.
This was because we're splitting hairs, this was at a protest.
Yeah.
No shops were broken into.
Not in this information, at least. So from 289 to, and this is still the same number they're giving me, Ryan, so I know you fact checked, but 52 people were arrested in total. And that's not even to mention that there was, between May 30th and June 2nd, the height of the racial justice protest, there was 427 arrests that were made. There was 24 juveniles arrested, which is 2 less than the total.
So let me just ask, let's just reverse engineer this. If you
7 minutes.
I'll go over today, bro.
Yeah, no, keep going.
If you feel like you were wronged, do you get to do whatever you want?
No, but if you were wronged, should you be able to do
Who decides if you were wronged, though?
The facts, dude. I don't...
Bruh, what facts?
You guys are never gonna fucking agree.
This is crazy. I'm gonna admit this to our show. We talk about girls in general.
All right.
That they believe what they feel is factual more than anything we've talked about in our friendship ever.
Right. So they get to act however they want because it's a fact.
Even though there's things that prove what they feel is not factual. Mm-hmm. That's what you're describing when you're describing yesterday.
Correct.
Now there's this other group that we watched with our own eyes. Facts. And you're saying that's how you feel. I don't care that you watched it as fact.
So let me ask you.
I get what you're saying. If this was something that we just felt, if we felt our opinion and we were wronged, then no, you shouldn't be able to even protest. What are you protesting? If you didn't ask for a special where you didn't get pickles on your cheeseburger, you shouldn't be able to go fight that. I agree with you. If you were wronged, you shouldn't be able to stand up for yourself is crazy.
How did they, all right, well, let me ask you. I hate to keep talking about this because I don't disagree with you on this, but I'll have to play devil's advocate. The day or 2 days or 3 days before, how did they even know they were wronged? Is it just luck that they happened to be? Because what if it came out that something else was the cause or whatever else?
Well, that's why I think if it was a police report, it'd be different than a 9-minute video everyone in the nation watched, or most people that were upset watched.
But you just said that they own. So why did they riot though? Not was it because he died, or was it because the guy didn't get punished?
Because the guy didn't get punished.
So how would they have known? Because he did get arrested. So
no, all the riots and stuff happened, or not even riots, but all the most of the protests happened before he was arrested. It took like 13 days for him to get arrested. After the video came
I thought
out.
It took like 4 days. Well, I mean, our fact checker just left. I don't even remember my point. My point is that
I get what you're saying. If it was,
I don't think you get what I'm saying.
But we're talking about a fact versus a fallacy that you even agree with. If we were saying if these were both opinion based, then I could agree with you. They're not. One happened that you agree with because you watched as fact. Then one you disagree with. And you can understand that people believe it.
What you're missing is just the mindset. The mindset that I'm entitled to behave however I want if I perceive I am wrong. That's the mind. Because you do never know you're right. You may believe you're right, which would be perception.
That is the craziest
you don't
shit.
Think so?
You don't think you ever know that you're right?
Not in the moment. I think that the people who protest yesterday,
if I drive through a green light,
right.
if I drive through a green light knowing it's a green light, and you tell me there's no way you know that was green. Yes, I do. I watched it be green.
No, all right. Yes, if I say the sky is blue, I know I'm right.
You just said you never know.
I'm talking about with these types of situations where people lose their shit. Generally, someone disagrees with them, or else there would be no protest.
That's everything now on the internet.
Okay, so nowadays, believing you are right is not the justification for acting however you want.
I agree.
Because anyone can believe that they're right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So just that because of this, maybe it was my fault for 35 minutes ago picking the George Floyd example. It doesn't matter on the example. Thinking you're right is not a justification for acting against the institutions unless you're prepared to truly condemn the institutions, which neither side is really ready to do, but it's probably coming. So, back to my original question. Let's talk, I mean, you know more about this shit than me. Was there protests and riots after Breonna Taylor?
Yeah, but I think those were in conjunction with what happened with George Floyd.
I got my own show coming. I'm not even getting in.
No, get in it, bro. We beat this to death. Bro.
I legit don't think the Breonna Taylor ones would have happened if George Floyd didn't happen before. I think her happening around the same time is
probably true.
And so I will say that. Like, I agree with you, and I told you this. If we just use A, B, I can agree. You can't just say how you feel and then act how you want to act. But when we're using a fact versus people how they feel, and yes, you're right. They felt like they were right. But one group was right.
And what if in 6 months they turn out to be right?
That there was fraud that would have overturned the election?
Not that I believe that that's going to happen. But why do today we get to condemn them as wrong? Because we just make all this shit up. That's why. That's why there's an institution that says you can come out and protest. You don't break into the Capitol. You can come out and protest. You don't burn down businesses. This is why. Because in the moment, we're rarely right. Or we wouldn't come up with this stuff. So yeah, at 6 months has passed, the George Floyd one is correct. Let's just pretend. In a month or 2 months or 6 months, a new one will come up. And they have just as much likelihood of being wrong.
So let's use another example. Were the Rodney King riots comparable to what happened yesterday then? Using that same
I don't even think I was born, bro. I don't know nothing about them.
None.
It was 91, wasn't it?
No.
I thought it was like 89 or something. Was it 90s?
Hold on.
More than
Yeah.
Either way,
Well,
I
thought it was
don't
like
know.
89.
He got beat, and I don't know. I don't want to even speak to it. I don't even.
But even, I mean, using your same
92.
logic, though, it wouldn't matter, though, right? Because using your same logic, they felt like he shouldn't have been beat on camera, and that's their feeling.
Yeah, so
and
I would say I would just
it was still
gut.
No matter what, it would always be the same.
It would. So here's it. All right.
When should you? So you should never riot, is what you're saying, and you will always be retarded
No.
if you riot.
You can, if you're ready to riot. If I'm gonna riot, that means Julian. Which this probably doesn't apply to everyone because most people are retarded. Which is what I open this up with, is that they're all retarded. If I'm going to riot, I'm going to show up somewhere with a gun. I've decided that the institutions that I trust to represent me have completely gone to a place where I have no access to them and will never come back. That's a riot. So I don't get to say that about institutions and then 6 months later say, oh, someone else is mad at these same institutions, but not for the same reason as me.
Really?
I've already condemned the institution. So just because someone else is also condemning it, who's a different skin tone, I'm like, oh, no. They're... All right. It would be like, back to our Revolutionary War. It's old. We're not all emotionally involved.
Well, I feel like this is a good example of what you're talking about. Someone blames me from stealing from Macy's. I didn't steal from Macy's. It's on camera.
Okay.
It's on camera. Everything I did in Macy's. I walked out of Macy's. And they now take me to court. And they have a video evidence that I didn't steal from Macy's.
That
now,
you did not, you were not stealing.
I was not stealing.
Okay.
And now I stand up and I defend myself. Now you, who stole from Macy's, you're walking, and we know these type of people. You're walking out of Macy's. You do a big deal because you stole, so you're making it a big scene. And now you get up there and you're fighting against Macy's like, how could they even do this? They're really looking at me because I'm black. That's the only reason. But you're in the wrong. You really stole. It's on camera that you stole. Now you're saying our two fights are the same fight. Because just because we feel like we are wronged doesn't mean that we should go and fight against Macy's.
No, because, bro, you're missing a point. You're missing the most important point. The second person knows they stole. The people yesterday, assuming that I'm right, I could be wrong, believe they are right.
So you think
So
if
it
you
would be like
believe
if you thought that you didn't steal, but somehow you did. Do you see? Like, that's the difference.
So what if all your friends were like, dude, you did steal. You put that shirt on. You stole. And everyone's telling you stole. And you're like, dude, no, I didn't. I've been had this shirt. It has a Macy's tag on it. That's the example I'm giving. Like, people were telling them they were wrong for months. Like, people were telling you you stole for months. And you decided, I don't care. I'm right. I'm still going to fight against Macy's. Is that this? Like, that's what happened. So using those two examples, we're both in the wrong.
Okay.
Sorry, there's static. Sorry.
All right, my bad. We probably blew the condenser out. Sorry. Yeah, we're not gonna see the same thing. We're just never gonna.
No matter what. So even if fact is part of it, it doesn't matter. Just because you didn't get what you wanted doesn't mean that you.
So here's it. Like, let's just switch it again. Fuck, dude. There's not a good example because that's too extreme. Someone always thinks they're right.
Yeah.
That's the point. Again.
Thinking you're right and being right isn't a difference to you. You don't think those things should be differentiated.
We do not. And when it comes to society, we don't decide if ourselves are right.
So we can't decide murder is murder, even if we watched it on film.
No. If
Okay,
I'm
that's
no,
fair.
no, no,
We
no,
disagree.
that's not what I'm saying.
You said no.
I'm saying if I murdered someone and it's on film, I don't get to be the person who decides. Someone else decides. The referees, judges, jury, any type of arbitrator at all. It's a type of institution where when there's a skirmish between people, there's an independent party, right?
Yeah.
It's an institution, right?
Yeah.
So if we're either going to listen to them or we're not. So my point is, maybe football is a good example. I'm going to try and make one up on the fly. I'm sure there will be flaws. If let's say there's pass interference and you catch it in the end zone and they say, no, you got to go back to the 20. But they watch the tape and they're like, this one was wrong. Then the same thing happens on the other side and it was right. In both scenarios, the team rushes and beats up the ref. The teams are both wrong. It doesn't matter that after the fact, one was right and one was wrong. The institution is in place. Violating it is wrong. Period.
So you're saying no, if you are crazy enough to believe whatever you want to believe, we'll put you on the same spectrum of people who believe facts because you believe it.
No,
and that's
that's
right
the
to say.
whole point of the institution. Crazy people don't think they're crazy. That's why there's a different party.
We're talking on our show, and you're calling both those people the same as a member of technically the institution who decides, and that's my issue. As a member of the institution, you should be deciding one group's right, one group's wrong, and you're saying no, they're both. They're both equal.
No. The reaction is wrong both times. Feeling right, the team who got the pass interference called thought that they were right. The team who everyone thinks they're right. Again, this is now 45 minutes of this. Thinking you're right.
I'm going to put this in my head and twist it.
I know. What's next on the playlist, bro? It's okay. I'm happy we had this conversation. I still love you. But
I'm gonna love you forever. I'll be honest on the show. I'm not that surprised by your view there. I feel like since yesterday you've been pretty defensive of what happened, so I'm not that surprised. I think the fact that you are labeling those two the same, I would be doing a disservice to our fans if I act like those two things.
Bro, they're not the
same.
fucking same, bro. I'm not saying they're the same. I've said it 50 times, they're not the same. That doesn't mean the action is not...
Just kidding, sorry.
They're both retarded, they're both this, they're both stupid, they're both this, but they're not the same. So they're both similar, but they're not the same, is what you're saying. Like they're identified the same exact way, but they're not the same. I get what you're saying, sort of.
There's a baby right here.
And I'm just more confused by that. And please, in our comments, let us know you didn't label those two things as the exact same thing. That's how I heard it. That's why I defended it.
I feel like I prefaced it. I feel like before... It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. My phone is by the mic. Sorry about that.
Is it doing some weird shit because it's by the mic?
Yeah, there was some static. We got some reports of static.
Is that because of a phone bite?
Not sure.
It could have been. My phone was right there.
Or like Julian might be like a metal like cyborg or something. So like if you're doing
there's probably that.
So I'll go into
we're
this.
At an hour and 40 minutes. It was nice having fun with you guys today. Until next week, we'll go ahead and.
Can you redo it and bring some life to it, please?
Nah. No, I had fun, man. I'm glad we had the conversation. It's just a philosophical. This is my point. If everyone was right all the time, we wouldn't need arbiters to tell us later or examine things. The point is, for an example, why do we get to say that Afghanistan was wrong for allegedly blowing up the Twin Towers? Why do we get to say that?
Because I was fucked up.
But why do we get to say it?
Because they killed like 3,000 people.
But why we've been there since the 80s.
I mean, I wasn't there.
But I mean, like, of course it was wrong. That's not my point.
Yeah, I get
The
what you're
point
saying.
is, like, everything is relative to somebody.
9/11.
That is why we come up with. That's why we all came together 250 years ago now, and said these are the rules we're going to follow. If you don't want to follow those rules, you don't get to then say other people have to still follow them because I think they're wrong. They think you're wrong. Mm-hmm. That's not a justification. If you want to follow the institutions, then follow them. What I'm saying is, both sides are now breaking them and supporting people breaking them.
Yeah, I will admit we're not going to agree. There's facts and there's fallacy, and if you can't say that there's people who are right, and so them fighting for something that was right in what they're fighting for, then yeah, you're right. We can't agree. Like, I get what you're saying, but I'm just never going to agree with a test that we're literally using examples where one group was right, one group was wrong.
All right, just pretend for a second that they are right, that they turn out to be right. Is it okay to storm the Capitol and do what they did?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
It's just that they were wrong.
That's literally in the First Amendment. In the Second Amendment, that's why we have the right to bear arms, is from a tyrannic government. If the tyrannic government literally altered votes themselves, let alone your own party, because most of the states their issues are with, Pennsylvania, Georgia, the main two, are Republican ran. Legislature, governors. Both have, they're both Republican. So if the government is making this vote fraud and they're on your own side, we've talked about this. I never felt like we were going to need to use the Second Amendment past recent times. Like, who's really going to fight against a tyrannic government? And what is the definition if we haven't seen it yet? So if you're telling me that they are right, absolutely they're in the right. And I'm more mad I wasn't part of it as a libertarian who believes in small government.
But you don't... Oh, all right.
Oh, God. Next episode.
I'm all right, yeah. This is going nowhere. We're going in circles.
You can't say stuff like that. Only I can.
Well, it just seems
Do you
like...
want to say it?
Yeah,
go ahead and circle.
Yeah. I guess for me, it just seems like you believe things, but you're taking that out of the issue. Like, you believe one thing's okay, you believe one thing's false, but you're taking that out of the issue when you're making your argument. Which, if I do that, I can understand, but I feel like in this, like, those are relevant to the conversation we're having, which is what I can't understand, I guess.
No, because this is probably a fundamental difference. It's not necessarily why you think certain things. It's how you think certain things. If our initial response to feeling wrong is a thing we both say is wrong, right? Do we agree rioting is wrong or right? Okay. So if the
Except
news...
in 1775 and earlier. Then it was
unless you win, exactly. And when you win, it's right. But so apparently right gets to go back and forth all the time.
And you even admitted that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think I'm just retarded and I can't explain things.
I definitely agree with that.
No. And that's, I get what it just feels weird. You're taking out like the main component to make your argument. That just feels weird to me. And dude, and I've told you this all the time. When you make arguments outside of our like real conversations we have, it low key hurts my feelings. Like you making this argument on air when we literally talk about this type of thing on a regular basis, low key offends me just in the way that I feel like I'm having to argue with a very, very good friend of mine, someone that I would call a best friend of mine, when this wouldn't happen off air, because the argument you're arguing against or playing devil's advocate against is literally what you stand up against in your life. That feels weird to me. People believing how they feel is fact and arguing that against people who are factually right, whether you could say they end up being factually or not,
here's
seems
the thing. So
weird.
let's pretend that I'm married. That's
a good joke to end it on.
Just kidding.
All right, yeah.
So let's pretend I'm married. Let's pretend.
Okay.
And my wife cheats on me, and I beat the shit out of her.
Wait, you would never do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
let's pretend that my wife doesn't cheat on me and I beat the shit out of her. Am I wrong for beating the shit out of her both times?
Well, hold on. Let's use not.
Jesus fuck, bro.
No, we can't use cheating. If your wife hit you and you hit her back,
I'm gonna kill you, fool.
if you hit your wife, or no, if your wife hit you and you hit her back, now ask me that question because those are going to be different answers.
I'll ask it.
You're using cheating though.
So if my wife flinches at me and I just suplex her and yeah, am I right?
No.
Okay, and if she doesn't, or if she does hit me and I do the same thing, am I right?
Well, maybe.
I'm wrong no matter what.
Hold on. Well, that's your view. I mean, that's a different view than I have personally.
That's a fucking extreme.
I can come up with 50 billion examples. The point is like...
Wait. Michael just said something hella good. Or Mike Fisk. Mike wants to know how you feel about the breaches of the Capitol with the 686.
Yeah, Richard, you take this one.
That was good. Sorry.
Jesus Christ. All right, we're at an hour 45.
Well, that's the
We're talking
defense
about the
budget.
same
I already
thing.
mentioned that. It's $460 million is what the Capitol Police budget is of 2,300 employees. And yeah, they breached that.
So I'm going to go back to what I said. I think everybody's stupid except me.
What?
I can't
Yeah,
stand
yeah.
anybody.
What about-
I think if
That's
you're
how
a
I feel about
Republican,
this
you're
conversation.
stupid. If you're a Democrat, you're stupid. If you're a
Julian-Rich.
Libertarian, I can't stand you either.
And if you're Julian, you're always right.
If you're Julian, you
Evangelina said I'd like to buy 2 couples massages or relaxers.
I need 2 masseuses. One to rub my shoulders. The other one rubs my calves.
Okay, that's inappropriate.
And there's a third one who...
Sexual harassment.
Oh,
we're gonna get
No,
fined.
but the third one is in the...
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
sorry.
Like and subscribe.
She's under the table.
Like and subscribe.
No, I love you guys, man. Thanks to everybody who's hanging out with us. I hope you had a good time. It's been an hour and 45. We didn't really resolve anything, but in a weird way, we talked about everything we wanted to talk about.
Catch RG on his new show next in the next 2 weeks. His own show.
You could be on this show.
Yeah, because I'm quitting this shit. I
Oh
can't
my
stand
God.
it anymore.
So you don't have any...
I'm not giving nobody no motivation.
Yeah,
This is my motivation. If you feel wrong, you get to act however you want to act. That's my motivation for this week.
Can I cut your hair if I want?
But if you are wronged, you have to feel like you're not wronged. You're never right. So even if you are wronged, you have to act like you feel wronged, even though you were wrong. So if someone takes your money and you're wronged, you don't really know. The collective has to decide that. So that
Well, if someone takes your money and you beat them to death, and then some other guy says maybe you went too far,
yeah, but
that
what if
seems
you didn't-
kinda fair,
what if you didn't
doesn't
beat
it?
them to death? What if you just beat them up for taking your money? Would you feel like that's wrong? How do you feel about beating up a dude because he said, "Are you mad because I fucked your bitch"?
Damn.
It depends. After you knocked him out, did you stomp on
Depends
him?
which one.
It
What
depends
about
on
when
it depends what kind of my girls you
when
know.
you knocked him out to the point where
All
he
right, I
tried
don't
to
wanna
get
talk
up and
about- I
fall
don't wanna
down?
talk
Yeah, you
about
don't want to talk about that. Why
Well,
not?
everybody
Are
makes
you
mistakes,
right?
bro.
Are you right for that?
Everyone makes mistakes.
So you
Myself
don't-
included.
So if you watch that video again, you wouldn't feel
I
like
don't
you
know
were
what
right.
I don't know what video.
You didn't
you're
even
talking
want to
about.
fight that dude.
I don't know what video.
You didn't even want to fight him. But I do have one. This isn't
All right, let's go.
motivational, but it's in a way, and it's probably perfect for this conversation. But realize that perspective is a thing. You know, I thought about this with me and Bree don't have this conversation, but I thought about this with sinks. Like, you know, a common couple argument is a sink having hair in it. And I thought about this one day because I cut my own hair, so I cut my hair in the sink. And to me, the sink when I start cleaning it is full of curls and it's a ton of hair. And when I clean it up, to me, it's super clean. And that may have 50 hairs in it. To a woman, it looks super dirty because she saw a super white, you know, sink there that now has 50 hairs in it. And that's dirty to her, which does make sense to me. And I've thought about that a lot. It's like, definitely understand that when you're having conversations that people have different perspectives. Like, some people just aren't wronged in their life, I guess. And that goes with the ice tray thing. I thought about that last week. You were giving me shit because you were like, everybody's complaining about my ice cubes, but nobody's filling up the ice trays. And I filled it up, and I thought about that. I was like, man, I'm really cool for filling up Julian's ice trays.
Man,
and I was
fuck
like,
his ice trays.
what's super funny is like Bree would be like, you be doing that shit. You'll say 4 ice cubes, like, I'm going to still use those. And it made me realize I could fill up the ice cubes every single time at my house. If I don't fill it up once, then I did something wrong. I could literally never fill up your ice cubes at your house. If I fill them up once, I'm like a super friend. You're like, man, that dude Rich came over, filled up my ice cubes after he made a drink. And that is just perspective, man. It's a different perspective that you have to look at in terms of that. I know you don't want to talk about positive stuff because you're sad about our friendship and if we're going to have an episode next week. But that to me is just something that I think would help not only relationships, friendships, look at perspective and understand that people are looking at things different.
Or
people look at things different.
Oh my God!
So
here we go.
But this goes with. I remember I brought this up. About the 6 and 9 drawing. Remember, there's that meme that's the 6 and the 9.
That was
it's
from
like
our first
it matters where you look at it, and you're like, well, kind of, because the person who drew it wrote it a certain way.
Yep.
So there is perspective, but there's
definitely a truth out there somewhere, but not many of us have access to it. I count myself amongst the few lucky ones who always know. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's the.
You did say that on air, and I'm clipping that, by the way.
Which part?
The part where you said I feel like I'm always right. This was the first time I felt like I was wrong, and the fact that you never know that you're wrong, or you never know that you're right.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Fact.
I mean, so Napoleon probably thought he was right. You know what I'm saying? And then he lost, and they decided he was wrong. Like. That's my point. Like it doesn't.
So that's where you weren't saying that you genuinely, you mean in social issues. So Hitler thought he was right, like using an extreme.
Of course, he thought he was right, or he couldn't stop. The list goes on. I'm not going to bore our listeners. That's why I'm trying to say, like, I'm not saying you don't know. You don't get to decide. That's and it doesn't even matter.
So no motivation.
Hell no.
You're not going to give no positive. Our first show of the year. We ain't did a show all year. And you're not going to give no positive.
We ain't done a show in about
And we had a super negative show.
I don't think it was negative, man. I hope everyone had a good time. Believe it or not, I had a good time. These are the kind of conversations I like.
I think, dude, the last time we argued on the show, I thought about it all week.
What?
And it bothered me. It also bothered me because everybody was like, dude, you guys got kind of heated. And I didn't like it.
No, bro, this is the reality. In a situation like this, I don't know that. I mean, you probably think I'm wrong. I probably think you're wrong. But in reality, I don't think either of us is wrong. You
so
seriously,
you agree with Ryan? We're both right and both wrong.
In aspects, or like I probably picked a bad example, which I recognized very early on that I did. And maybe philosophically we don't agree, but luckily it doesn't. This dude's out here just making all the noise.
You couldn't wait till we're like 2 minutes away from
I'm gonna shoot him in the face before it ends if he says one more damn topic.
Hey, can you stop shooting him in the face too? That makes me feel weird, uncomfortable. Because the Julian I know would sock you up talking about you.
Dang, bro, they said sing them out. Should I hit that song that I was talking about earlier?
Yeah.
I wanted this to be a light, fun episode. I don't know how this.
Well, we were talking about this, so it wasn't going to go that way.
Which one do I hit him with, bro?
All of them. Just hit him with a medley. Anyone with that in the title. No, man, you know I love you, man.
For all my Trump supporters out there, you know what I'm saying. I just want to, which I suspect everybody.
Oh, hold on. Before we end, because I did look this up and I thought about not saying it on air, but I'm not a hater. Derek Chauvin was arrested 4 days after the murder.
Yeah, right. I thought I was right, but
I thought about that.
Good thing they kept riding for the next 90 days, just in case they let him out, or I don't know. So, for all my Trump supporters out there, I just want to let you know that you're not the only ones feeling a little lonely tonight. And to end this song, I'm going to sing you out with a great song by Tony Braxton from 1996.
Don't do it.
Did you look that up, or did you know that's when it dropped?
Unbreak my heart, say you love me again. Undo this hurt that you caused when you walked out the door and walked out of my life. Uncry these tears I cried so many nights. Unbreak my heart. Good night, everyone.
That was pretty good.
Enjoy your life.
That was pretty
good.
We'll
see you next week. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Send us a DM. We'll talk to you soon.
Tell Julian how